Hey, everyone. Great time to be together, isn't it? What a great week we've had in so many different ways. And lots to talk about today if we want to talk about it. And everybody is talking about it. Everybody's excited about all the stuff going on in the country today. And, I haven't said too much about anything up to this point because just waiting to play it out and see, let some people get over some of their emotionalism, I guess, and get people settled down so they can hear the truth. Good to see some people coming on already. There's a let's see, I see Richie and Jennifer and Valerie, and there's Kathy. Yeah, so glad to see all of you coming on. So what a week, huh? Well, I don't know if you can see this or not. You probably can. I got a little title today: "Millions with Covered Ears." Millions with covered ears, and that's the truth. So what made me think of it was, and more in the Bible. There's this story, a great story about Stephen. If you know when Stephen was stoned, and there's Joy. Hey, Joy, I've been thinking about you. I think I saw a post or something too long ago, and it went over to Instagram. I thought I would respond back, and I couldn't. But anyway, hi. Anyway, I hope you're doing well up there in Canada. But anyway, so I thought of that when I said millions with covered ears, with all the things going on in the government and everything. And I thought of Stephen, who was stoned, and he was describing everything. He said, "You killed." I got it right here in Acts 7, and he said, "You betrayed and murdered him," and all those kinds of things. And when the members of the Sanhedrin heard this, they were furious and they gnashed their teeth. And then it got worse because he says, then he said, looking up into heaven, he sees, "Look, I see heaven open and standing at the right hand of God." And when they hear that, it says they covered their ears. They covered their ears and started yelling at the top of their lungs. You can kind of picture that, what it feels like. You've probably done that in your life where you've covered your ears and then you start yelling. It's that muffly sound where you're kind of hear your own voice, but you're not going to hear anybody else's voice. And that's what they did. So there's Mark and Heather, and so they covered their ears. They didn't want to hear. And so millions right now, especially in our country, but not only in our country, but even around the world, from the Supreme Court rulings this week. And guess what? I don't think it's over yet. I'll talk about that in a minute. Uh, but millions are covering their ears. They're not hearing what's really being said, and they don't want to hear what's really being said. So when you don't want to hear, what do? You cover your ears. And or sometimes you don't have to cover your ears. Isn't it a great line in the Bible? He or she who has ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the churches, or what the Spirit is saying. He or she who has ears to hear. So you can have ears, but you're not hearing it. And that's the problem. There's people in our streets rioting and tearing up stuff and spray painting things, but they're not hearing. They have absolutely no idea what is going on. They just don't hear. And in fact, let's see what today is. It was over the weekend, maybe the end of the week. I happened to read I think it was out of the Israeli Times or whatever, one of the Israeli editorials out of one of their newspapers. And there's Darren and Eleonora. See you. And I was reading this editorial, and from a Jewish writer, and she was a woman, and totally didn't have ears. She had no ears. She came flat out and said, "Well, now that America, it's called America, now that America has now completely outlawed abortion. Now on and on, all the how terrible it's going to be." And she said, "Well, Israel now is more progressive in their abortion laws than America because America has outlawed abortion." Well, obviously, she doesn't have any ears, right? She doesn't have any ears, or she just got covered ears, like millions of other people. So I want to make sure everybody listening, uh, make sure that everybody listening knows that that's not true, is it? Do you absolutely know that's not true? No. And it goes for the other things that the Supreme Court is working on. And they don't understand what's happening because maybe younger ones, particularly, have no idea what's happening because they have not lived long enough to know what it was like before all these laws were changed and taken out of the hands of the people. All right, so let's get down to what's really going on and how that might affect our thinking when we look to our relationship with the Lord, okay? Because it could affect us. All right, so what really happened? Whichever one. You want to talk about Second Amendment, you want to talk about abortion laws, and we want to talk about one that's coming up, I think. All right, what really happened? Okay, let's go with the abortion laws because that's the ones that's really got people stopped up in the ears, right? So here's what you hear now. I just read it a little while ago, where now all these women are going to die. All these women are going to die because they're going to have, I guess, illegal abortions, right? They're all going to have. All right, so let's be plain about this. Are abortions gone? No. Is it a victory? Yes, because now we're able to look at it and measure out when a person can have an abortion. But so it's better, but they're not gone, are they? They're not gone. And so what has happened? Well, here's what happened when they initiated the law and made it a federal law that was moved by the Roe versus Wade law. They made it a law across the board, and the government then made the decision of what was going to be done. What have they done since then? Since then, they have taken it out as a flat law across the board, and they've given it where it was before and where it should be, back to the local states. So it is the most hilarious thing to see all the people rioting in New York. You know why? Because nothing has changed in New York. New York's not changing in law at all. New York's going to, and California. They're all upset. Well, if you live in New York, what's changed? Huh? I'm not saying I agree with what they're doing, but they don't have any ears. Nothing's changed. They're keeping the same law the way it was, and they have the right, and New Yorkers will have the right to vote the way they want and use their legislatures the way they want. Here in Missouri, where we are, yeah, it's changing. It's changing, but that's the way it was before. And if people didn't like the law where they lived, they had some choices to make, and that's the way government should work. You see, I probably no prejudice about it, just wisdom. I probably wouldn't move somewhere in our country where there was an anti-Christian or even just another religion. I'm probably not going to move into a Hindu neighborhood or a Hindu area. A Hindu. Nothing against Hindus, nothing against any other religion, but if there was a county or a big portion of a state where another religion lived, Hindus or whatever they lived, I'm not probably going to move there because they're going to vote for things that work for them and their neighborhoods, right? And should they get to? Probably. They probably should. It works for them. They're represented. They vote their representatives in to represent them in their neighborhoods that works for them, right? I'm probably not going to move in there and then walk out in the street and hold up signs and spray paint their houses because I don't like what they're voting. I don't like who they're voting in. I don't like their laws that work for them in their neighborhood. And that's how it was. So you moved and lived where and voted in people that were like you, representing the people that lived there. That's how it was. And so you had some choices. You could vote the people in. You didn't go out in the street and protest and spray paint things. You worked for candidates that represented you and your neighborhood. And if they won, yay. If they lost, well, too bad. You work for the next one to represent your beliefs as best they could. And then if you really got bad and you really didn't like it, you moved to where people were more like you and represented you. And so back to when abortions were available, then if you lived in a state or an area that did not agree with the abortion laws, then you could travel to a place where they did agree with it and you could get a legal abortion. I'm not agreeing with it, I'm just saying how it was. You could get a legal abortion someplace else. All you had to do was get there. Okay. Now they're saying, well, people won't be able to travel. People can't get there. So now some of these big corporations are going to help pay for people to travel there. All right. They can do that if they want to. You know, a lot of people are able to travel now if you want to, bad enough. And so they're not going to be able to afford it. Well, you can go to another state and afford it because they'll do it for you in another state. So, all right. So, what does that mean? That means the abortion law has changed in that it has brought the representation of the law and abortion to the people that live there to decide through the legislation, through the state government, how it's going to be. And you can vote the people in that represent you, or you can vote them out that represent you, or you can move to a place that represents you. If you hate the law in Missouri, you can go move to a place that better represents you. If you're in California and you hate that law, you can move to a place that better represents you. Or you can just campaign for people that represent you, and then eventually you vote them in, vote them out, and the people are represented in government, Congress, and in Congress that represent the people that live there. And they go, you vote them in, and they go to Washington, and they represent the people. Okay, that's what's happened with the abortion law. Okay, now the gun law is the same way. They've moved it in so that the gun laws then is more represented by the states, and that you can't take that right away because, first of all, that one's a little bit different because the Constitution, they're dealing with it then. I love it when they say that what the Supreme Court has done is unconstitutional. What? Basically, what they did is made it what it says. It's unconstitutional the other way around. Now, just to save time, let's go to what else has happened and what's going to. Hi, Tammy. Didn't see you down there. And so let's go to what is happening now, what could happen right away with the Supreme Court, and it really explains what's happened overall and what should happen. Okay, so I don't think the Supreme Court's done because we don't understand what they're doing. Why are they doing all this? Okay, so a long, long time ago, right? Okay, when I was younger, the people again voted in their legislation. You voted Democrat, Republican, you like this candidate, that candidate, and you sent them to Congress, and then they went to Washington, and people in Washington actually had to go to work. Yeah, hi, Thora. They actually had to go to work, and they had to go and hi, Megan. They actually had to go to work, and they had to work at least half the time they're there. And today, legislators, the people we vote in, they get paid. They don't even have to hardly go to work when they're there. Did you know that? Do you know why they don't have to? I mean, it's not that they just don't have to. All right, here's what happened. Through the years, the government and people and Supreme Court and all that decided that we would begin to make up federal agencies, like we preach sometimes. Say that, repeat after me. Federal agencies. Now, federal agencies are made up of people that you didn't vote for. You didn't vote for them. And the federal government and the Supreme Court and all that gave power to federal agencies to make up laws that govern your state and our country. Federal agencies. That never should have been. All right. So federal agencies, and some of the letters, the EPA, right? And different letters that come up, all the things that and the federal agencies then began to run our country, the fossil fuels and what we can do, and what land and and they began to run the country, and they do it first of all without you knowing it. They can spend money and they don't have to report it. It's your money, and they don't have to report. And so they're running the country, federal agencies. What are the people that you voted for Congress, the Senate and the House of Representatives? What are those people doing? Not much. They don't even have to show up. There's nothing hardly for them to vote on that represent you where you live because the federal agencies are running the country. So that's why you can't do this and you can't do that. And they shut the coal mines down, and the people that live there and their living was making coal, or they're living the pipeline or whatever. And they're going, wait a minute, that's how we made our living. And they go to their legislative, they go to the Congress people that they voted in and say, what about our jobs? Well, sorry, we can't do anything about it because it's a federal agency, and the federal agencies are in control. And I was trying to think of more letters, Zion. I can't think of more letters. EP blah. I can't think. you know, but all those letters that represent. I tried. I had my head earlier, so what's happened is a federal agency. So you can't do anything about it. You can't vote about it. They spend money and they don't even have to report it. So right now there's a billion 30. Zion, I think it's like $32 billion thing going through that's supposed to investigate and get us so that we're more competitive with China. Okay. It's like 32 billion. You'll have no idea where that money goes. Do you remember, hey, everybody, do you remember when the COVID virus hit? I don't remember the millions and millions and millions of dollars. They said, we're going to allot these millions of dollars to go to schools to help. Absolutely nobody knows where that money went. Schools, or our schools around here, didn't see any of it. No accountability at all. They can spend anything they want because it's an agency that has no accountability. All right, so what do we expect to happen? All right, here's what I expect to happen. I hope it does. So the Supreme Court is going to infuriate Washington agencies, and they're going to take that away, and they're going to shut down the power of all these letters things like EPA. They're going to take that away, and guess what they're going to do? They're going to give that power. They're going to give that power back to the states, to the legislatures that you voted for, and they're going to have to go to work and decide, do we want, like West Virginia is sued before the Supreme Court. In West Virginia, are we going to let them dig for coal? And you know what? It's not going to be a bureaucrat in Washington that says, I don't think so. I think they should just lose their job and we don't care about them, West Virginia. No, the West Virginian folks are going to go to their legislatures, the senators and the representatives that they voted for, and those people are going to have to go to work, and they're going to have to weigh the ups and downs and sideways for their state and come back and say, we voted and we decided yes, we decided no for our people in West Virginia. The people voted for them. And if they don't like what their legislatures do, what do? They campaign, vote them in, vote them out, whatever, and go around next time. But it's their state, their people who they voted for, and they get to vote for the people who represent them. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. It happened on abortion, and it's happening, and I think it'll happen, and it'll be so much better for us in Missouri. We might have things that we want to see and our people want to see, and so we can go then to our state legislatures and say, hey, this is what we want to see. This is what we want to see happen. And they say, okay, and they pay the policy. Well, I'm not voting for you anymore. I'm going to vote for the other guy because he represents me. And if I don't get it, the majority wants something else. I say, boo-hoo, I'm so sad. But all right, I am glad that the government works. And if I don't like you, I'm going to vote for somebody else next time that represents me better. If they win, great. If they don't. But the people that live there get to vote for the people that live there, right? And they represent us in government, in state government too. I shouldn't leave that out. The state legislature and the federal government. And so people that live in our state or your state are being able to vote for what works for them, whether it be pipeline or government land. So what I believe is going to happen is the Supreme Court's going to vote out all these agencies. And what do you think is going to happen? All the people who say the planet is going down the tubes and the planet's gonna, it's gonna explode and we're gonna run out of water. And the air is gonna go bad, and so and we're not gonna have enough energy, and we're gonna just destroy the planet. They want to control everything. It's an agency. Well, guess what? We're going to get to sit down in our state and your state and all the states and talk to our government folks that we voted in, and we get to decide what we're going to do and whether we think the planet's going to go down the tube, whether we think, you know what, I think nuclear energy is okay. I think some coal, I think this, I think that, I think it's okay. I think we can survive another whatever years. I think we're okay. Or we say, no, it's getting too dangerous. I think we need to go back. We need to do the fossil fuels. We need to we need to go more eco and all that. But the states are deciding what's safe for them, what works for them, what works for the economy, and what works for their jobs. That's what's going on in the country. Now, real quick, check my watch real quick. So, when we come to the kingdom of God, it's the same thing. God is not fisting us and saying, I'm God, I'm sovereign, too bad for you. I do what I want. You're the puppets. Get out of my way. Everything is fixed, as people say, like, I just believe good's going to come out and everything turns out good. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah, sometimes a bad reason. No, we get to pray. We get to communicate. We are participants in the kingdom of God, and in his godliness, we are participants. See, yes, he's the sovereign. He gets to make the final decision, but we are participants saying, God, this is how it looks. And we get to pray and discuss and be a part of the kingdom of God flow in this world, just the same way. And that's the way it should be. God and the people are in a covenant together, and we work together for the good of the kingdom together. And that's sort of what's happening in the world of the United States of America today. Let's see what's coming up next. It's going to be exciting. Till next time.